All right, Captain K here. I want to talk about North Carolina. We spoke about North Carolina last night on my channel. I'm very disappointed in the state Republican Party. You have obvious issues here in North Carolina. A very strong Republican lean, not since 2016, not since 2012, but really since Obama left the stage in 2008. The state has trended heavily Republican. North Carolina has a strong Democrat registration advantage, which is dwindling. It's gone down another 4% between Trump's election and 2020. This state, you have a lot of old Southern white Democrats that have been voting Republican at federal level for quite some time, and now the state is beginning to turn over its registrations in a state that is becoming now Republican in registration. That has shown itself with results. Romney flipped the state back from Obama by 2 points. Trump won the state in 2016 by almost 4 points, and now North Carolina went another 4% more Republican, but now he barely held on to it. I've alleged almost 257,000 excess Biden votes in North Carolina minimum. And here in Henderson County that I'm going to show you, this is one of the counties represented by Senator Chuck Edwards at the state level, who has a direct channel to me because of a family member who has not responded to me and has not taken in this data. So I'm going to show you, the viewer, the one who can create some pressure locally, how there might be 6,000 excess Biden votes in Henderson County, North Carolina. Without further ado, here we go. Here's the county. Population right now in Henderson County is estimated to be 117,000. That's 10% population growth since 2010. So we have a county where I can make the first assumption is that both parties are going to gain votes. It's a county that's growing. It's an area that is receiving a lot of northern influx. So I'm going to make the first analyst assessment. Can this county show growth for both parties? And the answer is yes. So my assessment will include and incorporate growth for Biden. Here's the profile of the county. Starting in 2008. So the county moved left with most of the rest of the country for Obama. You can see the results in 2008. You have 31,000 Republican votes. You have 20,000 Democrat votes. This is a 10,000 vote Republican county, 59.9% of the vote, and the registration advantage is 16.9% for Republicans. Now going into Romney in 2012, the registration advantage is similar. It's 16.5. It's very slightly in favor of Democrats. The reason it's going in favor of Democrats is because you look over here on the right-hand margin, we have both parties losing almost 1,000 voters, and you have 2,000 total net new registrants. So you have some independents coming on the rolls. Even though Republicans still have a strong advantage, it slightly went towards Democrats. But what happened in the results? Romney won independents nationally by 7 points, and in the southern states, like North Carolina, states that he flipped back from Obama, they went heavily for him. So with both parties losing registered voters, the registration advantage staying close to the same, slightly in favor of Democrats. We have 2,000 more votes for Romney, and we have a loss of 1,400 votes for Obama in his reelection. So what happens here is even the registrations with the independents push this county more Republican. So even the independents in North Carolina are beginning to lean more Republican, slightly overrode the registration trend, which is our left and right limits. And then we have in 2016, the registration advantage shrinks slightly for Republicans. It goes down under 16%. You can see this is the year Trump ran. You have a loss in Republican registrations by 538. You have slightly more than that on the Democrat column. And then, of course, you have 3,400 new registrants. And what we have here is we have a lower number for Republicans in percentage, which is in keeping with them losing off of the voter registration roll and also with the registration advantage shrinking. Because the Democrat column went down, we can assume that a lot of this third party, so Trump's got some gains here based on converting old Democrats, but also has some sit-outs. So some of this is going to be split. I would say most of this vote over here is Republican. I would say probably 2/3 of the vote in the third party is Republican. And then now we have a big move towards Republicans again. This shows you, confirms to you, look, Romney lost registered Republicans underneath him. This confirms to you that now Trump has seized the control of the base of the Republican Party, and we have a 16.8% registration advantage again in this county. Given that that is with almost 1,200 new Republicans registered, and again, this is a growing county in a growing state, still losing Democrat registrations. That's hard to do. You would expect that they would at least gain some registrations. And then you have 5,000 total registered voters, of which, of course, you do the math here. We have almost 1,000 of those are accounted for as partisans. And then we have this. We have a 16.8% Republican registration advantage, which is about I think that's 40% to about 23%, if I remember the math correctly. Meaning a little over a third of the electorate in this county is independent. So what we have here is we have a gain of 4,200 votes for President Trump, which since the high turnout era began in 2004, that is the most the Republicans have gained in any one election cycle. So this is not a Republican who's weak in this county. Democrats, look at the cycle here. 20,000 votes for Obama. Then he dumps votes in a growing county down in the mid-18s. And then we have some population growth related stuff here. We have 1,200 votes gained for Clinton. And then we assume over here that this is likely 2/3 Republican based on the loss in percentage and the loss in registration advantage, which Trump now has a record gain over here of 4,200 votes. So let's go ahead and allocate some of this to the Biden column. Let's go ahead and allocate 40% of that number over to the Biden column. So let's add 1,000. We have a loss in Democrats here. Then you have some independents. So if we add 1,000, we get them to 21,000. And then if we add a couple thousand here, add 2,000 of the independents, we got 23,000 votes for Biden max. And I wouldn't even expect that. I'm just giving him benefit of the doubt here. So where do we expect this number in the Democrat column to wind up? I'm looking at 20, 18.6, 19.8. Because they grew a little bit and the county's growing, I'm going to say I would expect this number to be about 21,000 in this column. So let's go ahead, drum roll. 27,211. So this is a gain of 7,300 votes compared to Trump's gain of 4,200 votes, despite the Republican registration advantage going up. You have a loss in Democrat voters still. This 5,000, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and assume it's true. It's higher than this, but you have a pretty strong Republican gain. So where do these extra 6,000 votes come in? Which defies the trends in this county, which also goes against the registration advantage of Republicans surging in this county. So this is how I estimate 6,000 extra votes for Biden in Henderson County, and that's a minimum because my estimates are lenient. So Chuck, look, I'm asking you to take a look at this. I'm asking you to look at these numbers. That is not an organic growth pattern. You can see 20, 18, 19, they're stuck, okay? Then Trump surges with a record gain in keeping with the registration advantage, in keeping with the registration numbers on the right side. And now we have a 7,200 vote gain for the Democrats, 7,300 vote gain for the Democrats in this county, which is surging towards Republicans. That is why North Carolina has a lot of questions, and this is only one of your 100 counties. I can keep going. Shall I, Chuck? Transylvania County, you want to see it? All right, spread this.